It's another posse for you.
Good to go. Good morning. I call the meeting to order. First order of business is to accept the minutes of the January 28th. Motion by Sam, second by Mr. Mobley. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You're up this. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
You're gonna go through that whole thing right now?
Yes.
Well, there'd be a quiz.
They say the meeting was long enough last night.
That looks like
Well-
the longest committee meeting ever.
I did try to keep this to a minimum. I got 20 slides. I'll be the first to tell you, this is not my forte, but hopefully it'll suffice. But I know last meeting I talked about giving everyone a better idea of what my office does day to day, week to week, month to month. A lot of it is casework, so it just keeps rolling over and it seems to never end. But as I always say, staying busy and being busy is not necessarily a bad problem to have. So I'll start off by telling you what the County Veteran Services primary mission is. What we do is we assist veterans and their families, including surviving spouses, dependent children, and/or dependent parents, in securing earned benefits at the local, state, and federal level by representing and advocating for them throughout such processes. Next. Who we serve, approximately, there's 4,000 veterans in our county, and that makes up for about roughly 8% of the county population. Of course, we serve veterans of all eras, active duty veterans, National Guard, reserve members, their surviving spouses and dependents, whether it be dependent children or dependent parents, as well as individuals whom the VA has identified as a veteran's caregiver, commonly family members. What my office consists of, as far as staffing, myself as a director and one of 3 VSOs. Beneath me is Michael as my deputy director. Most everyone should know him by now. He's been around for a little bit. Josh Worthington is our newest VSO. Peyton Bassett, who's our full-time senior clerk. We have a part-time clerk, Ashley Johnson. And for transportation services that my office provides, I currently have 4 part-time drivers on our roster, and also fielding applications and interviews for 4 additional spots. Not necessarily to increase the hours of our drivers, but to kind of cover down on manpower. So what is a CVSO? What's a Veteran Service Officer? A Veteran Service Officer serves as an accredited representative who assists veterans in preparing, filing, and prosecuting claims for VA benefits. Importantly, CVSOs are VA accredited representatives, meaning they are legally authorized to represent veterans before the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and provide services at no cost to the veteran. A CVSO acts as the veteran's advocate, guide, and procedural expert throughout the claims process, helping ensure claims are properly developed, accurately presented, and aggressively pursued. What does that representation and advocacy actually mean? It's accredited representation, as I said before the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Washington County VSOs are duly accredited. The VSOs in my office, we're all duly accredited, both with the Department of the American Legion, as well as New York State Division of Veteran Services. We file all of our claims and everything through the American Legion. That's our representative organization. New York State, as a second accreditation, is really a backup in case anything organizationally happens with the American Legion, similar to what we saw a few years ago, as I'm sure Mr. Hall can attest to, with Vietnam Veterans of America and that organization. Again, we assist in filing, developing, tracking those claims. We also assist in the appeals of those claims and higher level reviews, as well as nexus development, medical nexus development and evidence support. Credited representation is not simply an informal advisory service. I think that's important to state. CVSOs represent veterans within the framework of federal statutes and regulations governing veterans benefits, including Title 38 of the United States Code, Title 38 of the Code of Federal Regulations, VA policy manuals and procedural guidance, federal case law governing veterans benefits. I brought this hunk of a book along with me, and I keep it on my desk daily so I can explain to each veteran who I'm sitting with for the first time that I don't ever, hardly ever have a quick yes or no answer for you, because these are our benefits as veterans just on the federal level. And this is what we as veterans are expected to know and navigate. And when we're not, then our VSOs should be. So the next slides are really going to go over a lot of those benefits. I won't read through them all because there is a ton, and each one of these bullet points essentially is a separate claims process. So starting with federal benefits with the VA, we of course represent veterans through disability compensation and pension programs, as well as surviving spouses, dependent parents and children's benefits, education benefits, and employment benefits. The quick note I have there in red is that the pension programs, a lot of people hear pension and immediately assume that it has something to do with retirement, but as it has to do with the VA, veterans and survivors VA pensions are not related to retirement and are income and asset-based benefits. Okay. These are additional federal veteran benefits that we advocate for veterans and represent them through, which is navigating healthcare, applying for healthcare and other medical programs, various insurances, a lot of different life insurances and other financial protections, housing and home loan guarantee benefits, utilizing the VA home loan guarantee, and additional VA programs as far as automobile allowances, adaptive equipment, clothing allowances, and fiduciary matters. And then we go to outside of the VAs, just some other federal agencies and programs that we also work with and throughout. Both the Social Security Administration as well as the Department of Defense or War Department, depending on what year it is, and DFAS. Just in red, some important notes. CVSOs are not SSA accredited representatives, but we often assist in coordinating documentation and explaining interaction with VA benefits, especially as it comes with disability compensation and those sort of awards. Many veterans benefits are not universally applied to all veterans. Each program has specific statutory eligibility requirements based on service history, disability status, income, and other criteria. Our role in my office is to determine which benefits a veteran may qualify for or the claimant, and to properly develop and advocate for those claims. It is because of this that we strongly encourage all veterans to contact our office or their respective county veteran service agency and get scheduled for an appointment with a CVSO to determine eligibilities. Because there is a lot to go over. It's not a 30-minute appointment either. I wish it were. New York State veterans benefits, kind of dropping down from the federal level. Veterans property tax exemptions, there's some locality determinations there as well when it comes to the property tax exemptions. Veterans tuition assistance and education benefits, New York State blind annuity and supplemental income programs, New York State Gold Star parent annuities, New York State veterans homes and programs. We're talking skilled nursing, care for veterans and their spouse, education benefits, including veterans tuition awards, merit scholarship, New York State and Regents awards for children of deceased or disabled veterans. Employment benefits, the lifetime Liberty Pass, discounted or free hunting and fishing licenses, supplemental burial allowances, indigent burial allowance, indigent burial reimbursement, excuse me, state veterans cemeteries, and veterans emergency housing funds. On the local level, we work a lot with a lot of outside organizations or nonprofit independent organizations. A lot with emergency housing and financial assistance referrals, including Veterans and Community Housing Coalition or VCHC, Veterans United Fund, the United Way of Washington County. We help coordinate military honors. Partner with the Veterans Business Network from the Adirondack Regional Chamber of Commerce. And one of the kind of cornerstones that has, what do I want to say, that we've developed over the last few years in my office is transportation resources and specifically transportation to medical appointments for veterans within our county borders. To and from their medical appointments, picking them up at their residence and dropping them back off at the residence. So we offer that kind of transportation to medical appointments for Washington County veterans Monday through Friday. And if we can't facilitate that, we partner with outside organizations, including Adirondack Peer-to-Peer, LEAP, and other organizations that have similar transportation services. As I stated before, we work kind of hand in hand with the Adirondack Peer-to-Peer program. That actually is the parent program is the PFC Dwyer program. The program coordinator I've had here quite a few times, just giving updates about the Adirondack Peer-to-Peer program. It's really a mentorship program where veterans in the community can get out with other veterans and begin to strengthen the kind of relationships between veterans and help support one another, as well as providing constructive activities and events that the veterans can attend in the community, as well as families. Other various veteran posts and organizations such as American Legions and VFWs located throughout the county, Cambridge, Greenwich, Hudson Falls, Whitehall. We partner with VA's CEPC or Community Engagement Partnership Coalition to develop and strengthen relationships between the VA and community. So that's kind of a broad, as quick as I can give it, overview of all the benefits that we kind of navigate through for each and every veteran, especially if we're meeting them for the first time. I've been doing this for about a decade, and I'm still meeting veterans, Washington County veterans that I've never met with. So there's plenty more out there that perfect world need to maybe sit down with a VSO. I'm not saying necessarily it has to be myself or a VSO from my office. I would love for it to be, but at least sitting down and finding out answers rather than spending the next few decades wondering if I'm eligible for anything and waiting for an emergency or catastrophe to happen in their personal lives to kind of contact the office, because a lot of these things, especially at the federal level, are processes, are never easy, simple answers I can get back to you in a day or two. They take time, and being reactive to these emergencies and urgent circumstances is kind of counter efficient, to use a quick word, but stressing to veterans and their families to be proactive about these benefits is really what I've been trying to get across to veterans over the last several years. The next few slides are really just some figures and statistics that I pulled real quick that I thought you guys might be interested in. This is a quick graph that I made that gives a visualization of the total VA expenditures from 2016, essentially when right around the time I took over the office, to 2024, which is the latest expenditures that we can pull. These figures come from the VA's what they refer to as a GDX, or global distributions, and it breaks down the federal dollars going into different counties in various states all across the country. So we're looking at Washington County total VA expenditures from 2016 to 2024. And I really just wanted to highlight the increase in those federal dollars that are coming into the county in the about 8 years there that you see. Currently, the total expenditures are. I don't have the total expenditures written down. I only have the VA comp, which is the next slides. In the medical care. Because those are two of the largest figures and two of what I would say two of the most important figures. So this is the increase in federal dollars covering medical care that the VA provides to our veterans from 2016 to 2024. 2024, that monetary figure in healthcare was about 16.9 million that the VA spent on medical care for our veterans. In 2016, that number was about 10.1 million. These are all benefits that veterans have applied for within our county, and once secured, they start receiving that health care. Again, utilizing federal dollars and not the local dollars that a lot of individuals have to use. Next slide. This is the compensation and pension. So your monetary based benefits that veterans have secured. From 2016 to 2024. So the comp and pen figure in 2024 was just over 22.1 million. Plus an additional 2.1 million for survivors type benefits and those pension programs I mentioned earlier.
Why do you think you took a big drop 1 year to the next?
So in between those years of between 22 and 24, overall there was a drop because of the changes in laws. The passing of the PACT Act really increased a lot of benefits, which is what you see from about well, it wouldn't really show up on there, but from 24 to 25, when we get 2025's numbers, that figure you should see an increase. But the number specifically drops really because of the manpower issues I had in my office. I was very limited with VSOs. I was pretty much myself because the VSOs that had left and the ones we were onboarding.
So you're saying
We're not
it
accredited
dropped
at all.
because we didn't have the manpower there to give people what they needed. So kind of what you're saying in that.
You could look at it like that. It wasn't as if anyone who was contacting our office or we were filing claims and representing went without representation per se. It was just simply the work tempo that we could keep up with. These figures aren't exclusive to just my office either. I'd like to think that my office has and shares the bulk of them. One of the other figures I have is from the software that we use. It's called VetPro, but the company continues to update this software. And with those updates has come different tracking metrics and statistics that I can pull. So since we've been able to track the number of unique veterans that my office has served, that goes back to 2022. That number is just over 2,500. So we're just over about 50% of the veterans or family members within the county, but that also should tell everyone that there's plenty more work to do. The sharp increase from 2020 to about 2023, though, I'm particularly it stands out to me because as we all know, those are COVID years and a lot of places were shut down. A lot of families needed medical care and income and some kind of financial stability. And we increased those numbers drastically. Again, not 100% ownership by my office, because there's other offices that represent veterans, of course, and our county counterparts probably serve certain Washington County veterans, as my office has served Warren County or Saratoga County veterans time from time to time, and that's really been kind of my direction, is to not turn a veteran away if they're reaching out to our office and we can facilitate the assistance and representation, then we're of course going to do it. There's a couple other law changes from 23 to 24 that I'm not recalling off the top of my head that would account for the slight drop. And I can get back to you on the answer.
I
for
was
it,
just
but
curious that I didn't think did we lose a bunch of people, or did we, that's, I was just wondering. Yeah.
the population of veterans during those COVID years, that same time frame where you see that sharp increase, we did lose quite a number of veterans. Again, these are rough estimates, as accurate estimates as we can get, being that, veterans are constantly moving both in and outside of the county. Veterans, especially in these years that we've been through, are passing away at a somewhat of a quick rate. It's very rare that we get any kind of World War II veterans in the office anymore. When I first started, I had a few veterans I represented who were World War II veterans, and I was very fortunate to be able to represent them and kind of hear their stories and assist them before they passed away. But now the largest demographic and population, of course, is Vietnam veterans and veterans from those eras, and Vietnam veterans especially are passing away. That makes up for about a little over 50% of the veterans we are currently serving.
Yeah, and I think in the 23-24 timeframe, the VA was going through a transitional time down there as well. So the claims that you were putting in to be adjudicated probably didn't get adjudicated until the 25 timeframe.
Well, I mean, number one, you're correct. That is one of the factors, but there is many things at play there
Right.
that would stall claims processes, especially at the federal level. We've seen the federal government shut down a number of times.
So those
It's not
numbers,
because of the VA claims.
yeah, they'd be picked up in a 25 year, because there is a time frame when you send them in. If they don't do their job, you don't get.
That's what I
It'll
would
start getting
expect to
fixed,
see once the 2025 GDX figures are released. Especially now that I have those VSOs back in my office who are well qualified and accredited. So these are figures taken from the software that we use in my office specifically since we've been able to track from 2022. The blue bar representing the number of veterans, unique veterans year after year, as well as the orange bar there representing the number of claims or processes that we've kind of sent down range to the VA or filed through the VA. And as you see with the 23 and 24 years, the number of unique veterans decreased because we were kind of at minimal staffing and taking it day by day more than anything. I think that's the last slide. The last two slides are really for anybody who has any questions. I'm sure there could be a million. And we could wait till after the meeting. And then the last slide is just contact information.
Jim Mumby, one of those veterans you haven't met from Greenwich. What's the status of the 100% people with 100% disability for the VA rating tax exemption? There was a law they were trying to pass.
So there's, and I think Miranda here, but Miranda from Real Property can also speak on this as well. But the real property tax exemption in the law change, most recent law change. What was in place before, it doesn't necessarily change any of that. All the eligibilities and everything are the same. But the complete exemption of property taxes calls for, and this is what's in the new change, it calls for a number of different eligibility requirements. One of them being that the veteran is 100% permanent total rated by the VA. Another one, which is equally as important, is that there's been some sort of housing alteration. There's certain grants that veterans can be eligible for to alter the interior of their homes. Let's say they're wheelchair bound and they need wider thresholds. If they've been, if they're eligible for that grant, applied for, received, and started utilizing that grant, that's one of the criteria. And there's one other, again, that I'm not recalling off the top of my head, but the three criteria together, in short, make it extremely difficult for any veteran to qualify for the complete property tax exemption. So there is and has been for the last few months a lot of talk on rewording it and restructuring the verbiage. What that's going to look like once it's all said and done, I'm not really sure, but hopefully they make it a little bit more easy for veterans to apply for.
So it's still not final.
It's not final.
Oh, thank you.
Dave,
Ben, could you send out those slides to the board?
Absolutely.
I know people that have never come over to look to see what they're qualified for, but maybe just taking some of that, and put it out to them, that might help them understand.
Absolutely.
I
And
know I sent a couple over here, who didn't think they were qualified for it, and they found out they were.
more often than not, that is the case. It's, to me, it's a sad thing to say, but it's also the reality. We as veterans, by nature of the culture we're born and bred into, when we sign up or we've been drafted, is to not report anything that's wrong with us, underreport. If we do report anything medically, we're pretty quickly ostracized from our units, kind of put off into a corner or found some sort of way to administratively discharge us and derail our careers. And it happens so often that that's exactly why these federal laws that the VA's established are written the way they are, is because of that type of culture that we kind of learn over the course of our enlistments, whether it be 4 years or 5 years or 30 years of service. But sitting down with a VSO is where it starts. Gaining representation is the beginning, and when we gain that representation, we can also retrieve a lot of records from the veterans' time in service. Going through those records kind of page by page, especially their medical records, can shed a lot of light on, let's say, a disability compensation claim that we could file. And the case, more often than not, is that a veteran or whomever is in our office is in some sort of crisis in their life, financially or healthcare wise or something of that nature. And that's when we start exploring these benefits and establishing that representation and waiting for records. And again, it's a process. Depending on the era, generation that these veterans serve, those records could come back in a week or they could come back in a year.
Or not at all.
Or not at all. I've literally applied for records requests for the same individual over the course of a few years on 3 separate occasions. The first 2 times, returned, no records exist. We can't find any. They may have been destroyed in the fire down at the National Archives. And the third records request seemed to get lucky, and we got a whole bunch of records back. That's not just a unique case.
You listed off a really wide range of benefits there that you think. But is there any one category that seems to be, the most common thing you deal with around here in this county?
Disability compensation and healthcare, by far. And that's why I tried to provide those figures specifically, so I could demonstrate the growth over at least the last 8 years since I've taken over the office.
Healthcare kind of a significant one, but that can lead to a whole bunch of other stuff at the top.
Well, and one of the points I'm attempting to get across with those numbers is, again, they're they're federal figures. Those are federal dollars, not local dollars.
I was just curious. You said there's 4,000 in the county. How do you know there's 4,000? Where does the information come from? And of those 4,000, do you have a contact point? I mean, like Mr. Mumley said, he says he has never counted, but did you know you could come right up here and get all sorts of different things?
I did,
Are you
yeah.
aware? Yeah.
So the conversation, Michael, my deputy director, and I have often is that, and something, again, we've put in practice over the last several years, to get veterans, kind of in the know, or at least aware of, my office, is largely word of mouth. I mean, these conversations aren't typically taking place with a veteran civilian buddy or someone of that nature. It's with another veteran. And it's not until a veteran that they know to some degree or trust, hopefully to some degree, tells them, hey, you know, you need to go over to such and such place and look into this. That veteran finally contacts the office to out of curiosity more than anything, and that trusting word of their veteran buddy, and are able to sit down with us and go over things step by step.
Yeah, back when I was director of veteran services, I always used to say to the board when we come in and ask for an extra personnel or whatever the case may be is, as Ken said, this is all federal dollars that comes into our system. It stimulates our economy. It supports other departments in our county, because if an individual gets the medical coverage, then they may not have to be on Medicaid. And if they get their pension, they may not be eligible for some of those other benefits it's costing us, and we have a larger match with that we have to put in. So this is money that comes in that stimulates our economy. Even now online, the sales tax, you know, if they Amazon, they got the extra money to spend, it brings the sales tax revenue into the county. So this is a huge portion of it. And I always said, and I'm saying now what I said back then, is that because because the supervisors didn't get to control those dollars and cents, they didn't come in for them to spend as a board. It was kind of neglected that money was being generated for our economy. And, you know, I think the same things in some cases applies today as it did back then. You know, so when we look at the benefits, you all look and see about, and when they ask for extra manpower, extra vehicle or whatever, what do they actually bring into our county of expendable money that's going to service our veterans and relieve us in another area of our services that we have to provide.
And
Off my soapbox.
yeah, and I guess that, you know, I'd like to back Ken up as far as the attitude about asking. You know, my son-in-law was in for 8 years and got out, sustained some injuries jumping out of airplanes, but he didn't know it. And some of his buddies said, you know, you could go get some disability for some of this. So he finally went and found out that he was eligible for some disability money for the injuries he had for doing that. So if they don't ask, they don't know.
That's correct. I find myself repeating a lot of phrases, so at this time I annoy myself a little bit because I sound to myself like a broken record, but you know, that's exactly what I tell everyone I speak to when we're looking into these things is you don't know what you don't know. Somebody very smart told that to me, and it's stuck with me ever since. But again, why I keep this on my desk so I can quickly point to it, reference it, and explain to the veteran or whoever I'm speaking to that I don't have a quick yes or no answer on if we can secure this benefit, if we're eligible, if we're not. It takes time. It takes reading through certain federal laws that may or may not apply to that. One quick other point to make is I have a book like this for about every year going back for at least the last 10, 15 years, because again, federal laws change, they change a lot, they change every year. And the laws from 5 years ago for a claim that's 5 years old, those federal laws apply to that claim, not necessarily the current set of laws.
Just one more thing, and then I'll stop. Soapbox stuff, but on the veterans, when he reports the numbers of veterans, and I assume this is the case, when he appoints the number of veterans, that veteran comes in, but that's he's counted as a veteran, but he could make several different changes in claims. For example, it's something like with diabetes, if they were associated with diabetes, then there's a list of other items that now become secondary to the initial thing that they file a claim for. That's still just one veteran, but that you're servicing him several times throughout his longevity.
Absolutely. And that goes back to one of the statements I made when I first sat down, and that, you know, this large degree of our workload in my office is casework, and it's continuously rolling. So sometimes we can get to a point where we've kind of maxed out a veterans awards, and we're you know, at the finish line, so to speak, and we've secured everything we can for that veteran. But sometimes securing one benefit for a veteran opens the door to a number of additional benefits for that veteran. A lot of benefits outside of disability compensation. One of the eligibility requirements is some sort of service connection, some sort of disability that we've gotten service connected to or for that veteran. And based on those service connections, they're now eligible for X, Y, or Z benefit, and we start applying for that. Eventually, as we'll all face, you know, that veteran is going to unfortunately pass away, and in a lot of cases leaves a surviving spouse. Well, that surviving spouse may now be eligible, and quite often is eligible, for a certain number of monetary benefits. So we start working with them, representing them through certain processes and claims to try to carry on some sort of financial stability after the veterans pass. That can extend also to dependent children, like I said, or dependent adult parents. Before my mother passed away, I had her in my house as I was caring for her, and I had her on my VA award. And the VA provided some additional extra monetary figures so I could help care for her. So that's something that I only learned by virtue of the job. So if I were a veteran not in my position, most likely would have never known.
Hey,
Thinking traveling to different conferences and stuff across the state. I think that Washington County is extremely lucky to have the veteran setup we have. I've always heard comments on kudos on Sam's tour, some on yours too also. So please continue caring for our veterans. Our veterans are very lucky to have a veterans organization like we have here. Help them, and I hope it continues.
Any more questions for Ken? Thank you very much for being the
Thanks everyone for all the time you've provided me. Now you're here.
So Gina.
Morning. Here this morning to highlight our nutrition program. Funded by the Older Americans Act, the National Senior Nutrition Program is providing nutrition services to older adults across the nation since 1972. This March, I'd like to highlight the anniversary of our senior nutrition program. This year's theme is Serving Up Solutions, which reflects the creativity, innovation, and collaboration that define the senior nutrition program. It highlights how local programs like ours adapt to meet community needs, from providing nutritious meals to creating opportunities for older adults to stay engaged and independent. With every meal, programs are serving up solutions that support health, well-being, and stronger communities. So throughout the month of March, we will be highlighting primarily on our Facebook page, nutrition education, speaking about the importance of proper nutrition. And to go off of that, Supervisor Hall spoke about the need for supportive and preventive programs. The nutrition program is that in terms of without proper nutrition, then you are looking at chronic illnesses and inabilities to stay independent. So certainly our nutrition program isn't simply just providing a meal. It is truly helping people avoid chronic illness and keeping down cost like insurance, medical costs. So one event that we do every year is our March for Meals campaign. And I like to extend the invitation to all the supervisors and to state and federal representatives to come and observe our nutrition program. So on March 27th, the sheet I just provided to you is the invitation. It does give an outline of what the day's events can be, starting at 8:45, meeting at the sheriff's office, and then going into the area to see our central kitchen and checking out the operations of the meal production and delivery itself. We also offer the opportunity to ride along with one of our seasoned drivers. And also we invite everyone at some point to visit one of our 3 senior dining sites. So certainly March 27th is our highlighted day. If anyone is unable to attend on March 27th, we can accommodate a request to do a ride along or even go visit Central Kitchen through our partnership with the Sheriff's Office at another time throughout the year.
I just like to say, I think one of the benefits of this program that we don't often think about is the fact that I know we say here it's for all older adults to stay engaged and independent and live in their homes. But it also gives us another set of eyes on those people so that on a day-to-day basis, they can see if there's a change or if there's a problem that's going on, so they can come back and have your people contact them and see what the underlying problem is before they get too far in trouble. So it's a check and balance type of thing.
That is what makes Washington County unique. Due to rising costs, several counties are going to a lot of frozen meal delivery options, which doesn't provide that check and balance. Here in Washington County, we're very proud, particularly with our partnership with the Sheriff's Department and the support of the board, to be able to have a meal service where our drivers do go out Monday through Friday and provide a nutrition meal, as well as do a check-in with the individual. That check-in, the driver is our frontline person per se. All the meal individuals who receive services do have a case manager in our office. Who provides that more well-rounded services. So if the driver goes out and sees something, they then communicate back to the office, to the case manager, who then does more follow-up and service seeking if needed. Thank you.
Questions?
Do you ever send out information with the meals, like program information or the senior party in the summer?
We do. So one unique practice that we do in Washington County is on the back of every monthly menu, we send out information. We highlight a lot of nutrition education information particularly. And then when we do have events, we also share that as well. And most certainly, we also like to partner with public health, and they are now doing a chronic disease self-management program and a diabetes prevention program. And so we try to share that out to our individuals so they can take advantage of other services and supports locally.
I probably go on almost every single year to meals, to make a point on going on it, but really, when you watch the driver go in, their interaction with the people is really amazing. How they develop friendships and talk to them, and they really look forward to having them come and talk to them. And We're also glad to see another face because a lot of these people really don't get out their homes very often. There's a wide range of people who can't. There's a lot of people that are older and married, or there's two from the family. But they really appreciate it too.
I was just gonna do what Dave said. I've been on the phone with a couple of them that receive meals on those. They'll say to me, oh, I gotta get up now because, you know, my guy is coming and I have to have the things ready for him to come. And it's like, they're excited about it. It's what they get up for sometimes. Really important. Thank you.
Our drivers are great. They really are. And we try to keep consistency with the driver and the route that they're on, so that way they can develop that relationship, get to know the person. Our drivers have seen and experienced so much, really. And you're right, the individuals that they see a lot of times are the only people that meal recipients see for a period of time, which is why we've discovered, unfortunately, unfortunate circumstances with some of the individuals. But we've had situations where a driver had said, you called back to the office and said, you know, Mrs. So-and-so looks a little off today. Something's very odd. This behavior was odd. And then when we followed up, it could be we have to call 911 because they are in a diabetic situation. So certainly that eyes on and that connection that others make is very important.
More questions? Anything else?
Thank you. Have a good day. And everybody good. Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
A couple things. The first thing on the agenda is a request for a purchasing policy waiver. This would be through Trellis Marketing for a vaping awareness and education campaign. It is a NICEAC endorsed vaping education campaign. It will focus on youth. It's a youth focused, and they will be able to reach out to youth in Washington County by multiple means. It's through Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. They'll use Spotify. We had a presentation from them probably about a month ago. They are a sole source provider of this marketing campaign. So we're looking for permission to move forward with getting a waiver for the purchasing policy. This would be 100% under the dual settlement money that was just recently added to our budget. So, and the amount is $65,000. So it will have to go to the full board for approval as well. So we're looking for permission from this committee to move forward with a waiver with the purchasing policy.
I'll move for discussion.
There's a second. Deb, do we need two motions? Do we need another one to go to finance as far as the funds part of it, or?
The funds went through, that's the
Okay. All right.
budget's in place.
Okay. So we have a motion, a second, to have a waiver on the purchasing. Any questions, discussion?
Do we need to add the authorize the chairman to sign, or do you sign?
Is that something I can sign or just the chairman can sign that?
Usually anything over 50,000, chairman has signed.
Chairman.
Just to be clear.
Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next thing.
The next thing I have, I just have a couple program updates. I did receive a request from Tina DeMarsh. She's actually a real estate agent within our community. She wanted to come and present at one of our Health and Human Services meetings regarding the use of nitrous oxide and kratom within the community as substances that people are abusing within our community. She'd also reached out to the county administrator and also to Dwayne as well. And county administrator thought this would be a good place for her to start with coming and doing a presentation. She did present at Warren County back in the fall as well. I think that was in front of their full board. So I'm looking for permission for her to come and do a presentation to you, at the March meeting.
I'll make-
How long a presentation?
I can tell her to put a limit on it if that's,
Yeah, well, I just was wondering if it's.
yeah, she didn't say how long it would be. I don't know how long you normally would,
It kind of depends on the meeting, but,
yeah,
you know, if it's gonna be a half hour presentation, sometimes it's better to any.
okay. Yeah, I can tell her, I mean, I don't know, do we have a limit on the amount of time for presentations at committee?
Half hour ought to be the max.
Yeah.
Well, a
Okay.
half hour wait.
Yeah, I don't think you would take more than that.
15
I
to
don't
20
see it
usually.
taking more than probably 15 minutes.
Yeah. Okay,
And if we're intrigued, it might go an hour, but I mean, if.
That's our
We've been
fault.
boarded
That's
up.
right.
That's our fault.
Right, right.
Or your fault, Brian.
Back.
So we have a motion to allow her to come. It's all in favor? Aye.
and then the last thing I have, we have released our 2026 rabies clinic schedule. So it is out on our website, but I also have printed copies, so you can bring it back and post it. The only one that's tentative right now is the June 27th one in Easton. They're still bringing that to their town board for approval, but they have said it shouldn't be an issue, but we do have it marked on here as tentative till we get that final approval. And our first one is coming up, it's March 28th, in Whitehall, so I'll pass those around and that's all I have, unless there's other questions for me.
Any other question?
I took a tour of the new facilities over there, and if anybody hasn't, it's really an eye opener to see what it is now versus what it was then.
Yeah.
And, I advise anybody to go because it's well worth the tour.
And it's all been state approved at this point?
It has.
Saves the best for last.
After you hear the message. Well,
That hasn't always been the case.
Sounds like they're getting wound up, so, you know.
Yeah. As we're starting to get comfortable with each other on committee and with the board, I'm trying to bring statistics and information to you guys as, you know, and I'm hoping you guys can respond to me on what you think is helpful to you to understand what's going on, in the department. And so these are some of the statistics that we've been kind of going over the last, probably 3 or 4 months. I've been here just over 4 months now. So we look at the beginning, and by the way, if you printed them up, they're not redacted. I think it was a yellow highlight and they blacked out when they were, so it's not a redaction. That's secret information. Starting on, page 1, temporary assistance applications, at the end of January, we're down to 31. Timeliness trends is at 100%, which is, that will vary, but that's the number you're trying to achieve, that you're being timely with all people that are applying for services in the department. So you'll notice also the last 3 pages of the document are definitions for you. And those are mostly off the temporary disability assistance website. So when I started to talk about SNAP, TA, family assistance, safety net, all those things, it helps you understand what those acronyms mean to you, because I'm sure it can be foreign to many of you sometimes. So I explained the timeliness task. So this started getting tracked by the state in 2023. And as you can see, we've been pretty much on the steady incline while those have been documented. On page 2, we talk about diversions. Diversions are homeless individuals that applied in person and were not placed in hotels. So the diversion process is time consuming, takes a lot of it to complete. This is where you save money.
Diversions can be various reasons, non-compliance with shelter placement or rules, investigations, findings that the individual may have alternative housing or placement. The benefit of not placing an individual monthly is $2,600. So our diversions for the end of January or for the month of January were 56. Number of cases in hotels, we still are feel like we're doing a good job there. As you can see, the numbers are continuing to drop. In January, we've got 8 families and 25 singles, which is the lowest we've been in quite a while. Now, there's a caveat to this. This is code blue time.
Yes, is that the highlighted numbers?
It is.
Can you
we
say
don't
those
get
one more
to
time,
see.
please?
Okay, so
They're redacted on your page.
yeah. Right, so let's see, on page 1. That your redacted portion says 126. Alright. Average applications per week 31. Okay. Okay, on page 2, your first black line reversions were 56. For 1/1 to 1/31. $134,400 in cost savings. Okay, going down to the bottom of, yes,
No, I was gonna ask a question, but it's, I don't know if it's appropriate time to do that or not. So we talked about the diversion program. We said that that's where we saved the money.
yeah,
Are those employee positions all filled?
yeah.
Still? I just go see if we need more bodies in that area.
Well, I mean, we've had a couple folks leave. We have 2 case managers that are gonna be starting the end of, or the beginning of March. I think we have 3 vacancies right now, somewhere around there. Not sure, but not a lot. On the last page of 2, or the bottom of page 2, it's 126, it's 8 families. Average cost of $24,000 monthly. And 25 singles. The average cost of $60,000. So again, we're dropping in costs. Okay, is that helpful? So on page 3. Now, I don't, this may seem a little confusing, but I'm gonna explain it here. We placed a total of 189, we had a total of 189 cases, 147 safety net and 42 family assistance in 2025. Now, you're probably gonna be saying, well, we had a total of 242, 176 safety net and 66 family assistance cases leave hotel shelters in 2025. And you're probably saying, well, how can that be more than what you placed? Well, we're working on those folks that have been in placement for a long time, right? So when your leavers are higher than your placements, that's a good thing.
That's pretty substantial.
Okay. So, and this is, again, this is not that I'm doing, this is the hard work of the folks downstairs that are, I'm just giving them some guidance and they're running with it and they're doing a great job. So at the end of 2024, which might be redacted, we had a total of 85 cases. So the end of 2024, that was 53 safety net and 32 family assistance. We were ranked number 3rd in the highest per capita of homelessness in New York State. All right, so 13 months ago, that's we were 3rd, New York City, number 1, Sullivan County, number 2, and Washington County, number 3. Okay, so that's per capita numbers. And where do they get that number? They get that number at, it's called a point in time count. And some of you have maybe never heard this before. Nationally, at the end of January, there is a homeless count where everybody in the nation goes out and tries to do the best they can to count the number of homeless individuals or families in the United States. So I think that it's usually around between the 3rd and 4th week of January. I think this year was around January 25th. Those numbers go to CARES Inc. down in Albany. That's who's in charge of our continuum of care. And So that's where those numbers came from last year, that put us third worst in the state. So this year we ended, with 33, down from 85. Now, there's another caveat here, that it is also code blue season, just like it was last year. So totally between hotel, our placements, our code blue placements, which are paid for through the state allocation. There's somewhere in the neighborhood of about 82, and that includes, I think 5 or 6 folks that are at Open Door. So there's that code blue allocation that comes annually for, and we could put some people in hotels under that allocation. Remember, those code blue is no questions asked, right? Somebody who is homeless, doesn't matter if they're sanctioned, anything like that. We have to place, we have to take care of folks when the temperature hits 32 degrees or below. They have to be placed somewhere safe, warm. So we do have a contract with Open Door, to do that, but we split that contract with Warren County.
Bob, did you have a question?
Two things. Number one, logistically, that's the stupidest time in the world to count homelessness. Nationwide, it's ridiculous. To do that stuff.
Well,
But secondly, what's the mechanics of it? Wayne, do you count the number of people that were housing? Is that your number? Are you going out searching under bridges for people? What's the mechanics of quantifying homelessness?
that is, it's run through the continuum of care, which Washington County is a part of, right? The Adirondack, North Country, Saratoga, continuum of care. So it's not just the county. So we're able to give the number of folks that were placed that are considered homeless in the hotels. That's where our numbers comes from, or at Code Blue. But that number is also calculated, for example, shelters of Saratoga, Waite House, they're all giving in those numbers. There is a faction of folks that volunteer and go out and attempt to do street homeless counts. And
In Washington County?
yep,
Okay.
it's very hard in
Oh,
Washington. County.
it's very tough. I mean, it's
Right,
different walking down Park Street, counting the number of hooches along there.
right. And there may be, for example, there may be encampments that we may not know about, right? And so it was a little easier in Saratoga, there was a railroad station and there's certain encampments where we were able to go out and actually count the number of folks that were in the encampment. Hospitals participate in the point in time count. So it's not perfect by any means. I think it's
Soft number, but.
underestimated, yes, 100%. So I think that there's been discussions through HUD that, the federal government's the one that demands that we do this count every year. There has been talk, and some communities do a summer count too, right? And then we try to figure out what the balance is between the two, because summer, it might be easy, you have more street homeless, more encampments, things like that. It could be hard to count on January 25th. What if you got that big giant snowstorm? How do people even go out, and where are people going? Are they, couch surfing or doubling up, or did they find a place to stay that, a friend might have said, hey, why don't you come and stay with me for the weekend, or whatever that might be. So you're 100% correct. It's a difficult number to count.
And when they do the, like, for Code Blue, often our deputies will go and bring them in Code Blue.
Mhm.
Do they, consider the cost of the transportation and everything in submittals for that reimbursement?
No. So I'm hoping by as our point in time count comes in here, I'm hoping we're taking off that top 3 list, which I think we will be, when the data officially comes out, for the state here in a couple of months. It's probably won't come out till around this. Yeah, Brian.
Well, if the parameters have been the same all along, whether it's a soft count, hard count, or whatever, it still shows we're trending in the right direction.
Yes.
That's what you're after.
Some other numbers that I've been trying to pull up, that I don't know have been collected for you before. Number of folks that we've seen in the lobby, 5,454 in 2025. That's about, just over 450 a month. Number of phone calls that come in, it appears from, since I've been collecting the data, that we're somewhere in the 3,300 a month number. So hopefully that's a stat that
Do we
is,
have prior years to compare any of those two?
I don't know if I can pull it or not. I can
I
certainly
mean,
ask.
before when we didn't go out to everybody, I'm sure those numbers were higher when we saw them in lines out the parking lot.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And who knows how COVID might have
And
skewed
when
those
you
numbers
divide that
too.
down, there's the weekend, the lobby isn't open.
Hmm.
And then you got vacation days, you're down to 260, 250 days. You're only around 20 people a day,
Wayne, are those
what I can tell.
5,400, are they 5,400 different people or are they repeat?
That I can't tell you for sure either.
Some would be the same.
I didn't know if we were like
Yeah,
the same 2,000 people or something, you know?
I can find out too if that's an unduplicated number.
It's him in March, back in December.
There's still a workload every time somebody.
No, but I just wondered if we're dealing with a larger number of people or a very small number that are just back here continually, that's all.
So just a couple quick things to wind it down here. We have been meeting with units within our department to set goals for the year. We think that's an important thing for us to do, just to kind of a first example. Maybe we're looking at how we can improve our success with fair hearings. From what I understand on data that I've collected, in 2025, we win about 49% of our fair hearings. So essentially, if we make a determination that somebody is not eligible for services anymore, that they broke rules or laws, whatever it might be, those folks can submit for a fair hearing. And even though we've determined that they should not be eligible for the service, that fair hearing process, we're only winning less than half of those. So we want to try to evaluate how we're approaching the fair hearing process, make sure that we're providing the proper data for them and try to get that number up. But that's just one example of one of the many goals that we're setting across the department and different units.
Wayne, correct me if I'm wrong. And we'll call for the fair hearing, at least on the benefits side, they're ineligible.
That's right.
Fair
Aid to continue, right? So it's continue, we have to continue to pay for that service, even though we've determined they're not eligible, but fair hearing, while they're waiting, fair hearings can take months.
Dwayne, fair hearing is a state.
Yes,
And sometimes the judges can decide not necessarily because you aren't right, just because they want it to be that way.
yeah, and I think that I think there's statewide, there's over 1,000 fair hearings daily. Just to give you an idea across the
Yeah.
state of how many fair hearings are. That's the information that I was given anyway.
When this is in the minutes, will we have that without the yellow, so nothing's redacted?
Yeah,
Cause I would like to, it'd be nice to have that.
Sure.
Are the fair hearings held here, or they don't?
no, they're all over the place. I mean, there's essentially, as my understanding is, there are attorneys that will, and then we're sign up to be a fair hearing judge. They're not actual judges.
A lot of them are done by phone as well.
Right.
So if it's a transportation issue, we have to transport it there or?
No, it's all mostly done by phone. A couple other quick things, please. If you're on Facebook, Department of Social Services has a Facebook now, Washington County Department of Social Services. So please like, share all that, so we can get information out. Could be on all different types of topics, so we're working through that right now. We've got 3 of our folks that are kind of heading that up. And I just kind of something that I wanted to throw out there. There was a vote in the Board of Supervisors meeting about some funding that was for community services, and that it was around $340,000 or $350,000 that I believe was all a 100% state allocation, and I believe that's for what's called AOT, which is called assistant outpatient treatment, and it's also might be known as Kendra's Law. And it's a court-ordered program for individuals with serious mental illness who are likely to survive safely in the community without supervision. So I hope that you have an opportunity to revisit that and look at that and how the county could benefit from that service to community services.
I think the question was whether or not there was a share that
Yeah,
that
that
the
was,
county.
that
had
was
to
the
come
concern,
forward.
right?
That was my opinion. Is there a share that?
Are we committing to the same amount of money that they put in?
Yeah, I think that probably next month that they should come back and go over it again, but it's my understanding that there is no share to that, but it can help, various departments besides.
I think that was just a big clarification that
And it's always one vote away. Look at all the things that have been 100% that are now 50.
Yeah. But I think that money comes up from Warren and Washington, County, right? And they could go and just get the Warren County money, maybe still help us, but is that funding cut in half because only it's only going to Warren County. So I'm just putting it out there. It might be worth
yeah.
taking a little deeper dive into it and not, it's free money and.
Well, it's my belief that if we can start treatment on the street, then we're not paying $500,000 for one guy to go to Central New York. And that's,
Oh, the AOT is different. The AOT is in part to keep them in the community and not put them into a facility.
right, which,
I probably do, I'll say 2-3 hearings a month on those. Luckily, we haven't had too many where they appealed it and wanted to no jury trial yet. Those, there's usually, the procedure is there's a petitions file. We say what the diagnosis is and they have a treatment plan for it.
Yeah, no,
my point was that we could keep them out of jail to begin with.
We need a motion to bring this to finance.
bring that back to finance. I was tabled, correct, at the board meeting?
Yes.
So we'll have to pull it off the table at the next
That's,
board.
they'll have to take it off the table at the board meeting, but it wouldn't hurt.
They have the discussion.
If you talk to Rob York in the next couple of weeks, have him in finance, since I know that's more kind of.
Okay.
Bailiwick
We
than
did.
yours.
Right. How about resolution then to move the discussion to finance? Got it?
Second.
Yeah.
Yeah, and please understand, I'm not trying to say what you need to do, but I think it's,
No, I
you might
think
have an opportunity to get better educated on it.
that was the whole,
Right.
whole point of tabling it was to get better educated.
Sure.
All those in favor of finance resolution, aye? Opposed? One me, but the. House. I think that,
On the AI stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, I can talk about this a bit. There is also. We all hear the term AI, artificial intelligence, and it's coming everywhere. It's coming down the line. We are looking into it too for our department. There is currently, I believe, 12 counties, Department of Social Service counties that use this AI program. By the end of this year, it's going to be 20 out of the 62 counties, right? That this is a time savings and efficiency model that everybody's going to be doing. And we are looking at getting involved with this for at least our phone systems. There's a portion of what every one of our workers has to do when if somebody calls in, you have to read rights and responsibilities, and it takes time. Eva, the AI person, can do that, which is a time savings for employees. The cost is, somewhere in the range of, for the full gamut, is $75,000 annually, right? And I know, talking about money is not the best topic, but how can we save time and efficiencies with the county? We are looking into how it's possibly reimbursable, with the state, which it looks like it could be somewhere in the range of 60% of what we're seeing, 62%, 63% of a reimbursable. I'm gonna be looking into writing to some foundations, to get the rest paid for somehow, so I don't have to come up and ask for money. And
What's their accuracy of getting it right?
it's, I think at NISAC, they're a sponsor and they presented at NISAC and they're going to again. So where you guys might be able to have a presentation that was specific to you. We're in the early stages of learning to make sure it's a viable product for us, but I'll get you more information on that, for sure. I mean, I think some of the benefits is like, say somebody calls in a DSS and wants to know, they live in Cambridge and wants to know where the local food pantry's in. AI can do that. Right? If somebody is calling to need services from the Department of Social Services and they don't have the ability to talk between 8:30 and 4:30 because of their work or something like that, that this system can call them back at 9 o'clock at night or on a weekend.
But it can interpret what it tells them. I just know from, like, when you use Express Scripts or some of those
Yeah.
things, just regular things that you think should be easy, it can keep putting you in circles till you're stir crazy.
Yeah, and I think
That's
what we
part-
need to do.
We don't want to do that to this group of people.
Right,
That's-
100%. Yeah, I get it. I think that what this is, it's kind of like when you buy new software, you don't want to be the first one to buy it because there's kinks and issues, or like buying a new, first model of a new car or something. Like, you like to see the kinks get worked out. Well, this system's been in place for a couple of years now, so we'd be coming in while the kinks are worked out before the cost gets outrageous and everybody's doing it. So I'll get more information out to everybody.
Yeah,
Make sure this is.
I'm just having Dwayne put this out. I mean, a lot, like you said, the first 10, 15 minutes last time, the phone calls explaining to the rates and the services and all that. And you've got 32 or 300 phone calls a month here. That's 15 minutes of a person's time sitting there that if they aren't sitting there, they could be doing something else, That's something that maybe a computer program could do the initial stuff on. And it's something we gotta put the numbers together.
Yeah.
And we've had trouble even hiring in the past. I mean, it would be great when you can't get people.
I think AI has come a long way. I think that the one thing that people need to keep in mind, is they need to check their work every once in a while. Some people have my papers and they go back and look at it and have all faith in it because it's AI. You really need to go back and check it. You just make phone calls, maybe the test calls make every month and ask some of these questions just to make sure it's going the right way.
And there's different components of the program. There's 3 different components. There's phones solely, there's, so you can just do one portion if you didn't want to buy the whole package, that you feel like, well, let's see how this works and then we'll go to maybe the next step. But I also know that there are other county supervisors that are versed on it, that I'll try to, as we move along in this explorative process, that I'll try to get those connections for you guys, that you guys can talk peer to peer and say, hey, does this work for your county or not? That in Onondaga, Green, Allegheny, there's I can't name them all, but there's a lot of the counties that are really liking it, and it's saving time and money.
As long as their supervisors aren't using AI to answer their phone calls.
Speak for yourself.
Well, we don't put it in intelligence into our.
I haven't. These guys, you guys, I don't know if you had a chance to look over the next couple of pages of information, maybe you did or didn't, and if you had questions for Dwayne on any of that stuff. Okay.
Have something that's, talking Dwayne about this before, and when we look at alternatives to have place people. And it's from the areas of the county too, is there is a development disabled facility in Hampton. It has been abandoned. And I've never been in there. For some reason, I get their calls in the middle of the night because our phone numbers are pretty close.
The same place.
3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, they say, yeah. But it might be worth trying to get a look up there and see what it's like and what, if there's potential use of that. You have a lot of customers right next door in that motel, the next door is with. So it might be worthwhile to look at to see what there's potential uses for the county. Whether it be juvenile delinquents or other placements that we are sending out for expensive money. And it might be something that we could set up and share with other counties who have the same issues we are.
We just found out yesterday that I'm gonna own a hospital, so.
That house has 5 bedrooms,
They lost their fortune.
2.5 bathrooms.
I
There's so much work to be done.
don't know how many people had in the.
Usually just 5.
Well, I think as we move along here in 2026, we're gonna to start looking at some cost saving avenues of other, for lack of a better term, other businesses that we may want to start to take a look at, whether it's permanent supportive housing, whether it's shelter, whether it is secure detention, you know, we're spending a lot of money shipping people all over the place. We have buildings, if we have capacity, you know, we need to be a little innovative instead of being the last, you know, the rock of the litter here.
Just being bigger.
There may be other facilities that aren't being used in Washington County for one reason or another, or in Warren County for shared services.
Yeah, I think the thing is what we're gonna try to do through 2026 is start to not to think so reactively when it comes to the issues, those things that I just talked about. How can we be proactive and possibly make revenue on some of this? I think there's possibilities out there.
My friend Al doesn't want to be a landlord.
No,
If it saves a bunch of money, Al will be a landlord.
You can bring me back after my retirement. Hire me as a property man.
Any more questions for Dwayne? And, you know, I think he gets where we're trying to get to and, you know, help the people that need help and help the other ones to get on their own 2 feet, keep going.
Well, I think Al said it right. It's about the difference between a hand up and a hand out.
Yeah.
How do we get them back on their feet? That's the goal.
And
Teaching the fish.
you, as a committee, appreciate these stats that you're getting. I mean, this is our
Hey,
first opportunity.
Definitely redacted. It moves us in the right direction. They at least have something to monitor by, so we, you know, we're not surprised.
But it's,
Well,
well,
right.
savings already is huge.
well, I think also next month, I'm gonna be bringing you some stats more from Becky's department, so that we're working on. So I'm just trying to find our way
Get
here,
to see these.
all right? So we'll have more, I'll probably continue to give you these same statistics that I gave you now, but we probably won't spend time on them unless there's a problem. And then next month, we'll work towards some fiscal stats and good reporting.
Well, I'm sure they're connected,
They are.
you know, very much.
And the nice thing about you creating some foundational data is 2 and 3 and 4 years from now. And long after we're out of our seats, people will have some
Something to
proper,
go by.
some proper trending that they can make informed decisions about.
Well, as we dive into this, we're discovering other things too. I mean, everything from employee retention and all these things come up. I'll tell you that I got a group of our soups and seniors together. And I asked there was, I think, 30 some folks in the meeting, and I said, everybody that can retire within the next 5 years, raise your hand. And about
That was rhetorical, sorry.
about 80% of those folks. So succession planning is something we gotta start talking about. I mean, I'm concerned about 5 years from now of who's gonna be in positions where we can get the work done.
And Ken used one of my favorite sayings earlier, you don't know what you don't know. So the discovery process is really important.
Right, these kind of numbers, we'll know ahead of time if something's changing, why is it changing? We can start really looking so that we aren't at the end of the year.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think we're just trying to, peel back the layers of the onion, but it's a really big onion.
It still makes you cry. Sorry,
Hey, and though
I'm here all week.
I gotta give, the credit belongs to the folks, those upstairs. They're working hard, to get the job done. I can tell you that. This is, I can walk around and they're deep in it and they're doing the best they can. Every single one of them.
And when we get through with others, Wayne has invited us right after this meeting to do a walkthrough down there, just to meet some of the key heads of the different divisions there. Just a walkthrough won't be all that long, but put faces with names.
Yeah.
Or-
Expect I didn't take it in vain a lot of times.
Now you get used to it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wayne. Is there any others that anybody needs? Mr. Chairman.
I think it's important. I think to announce that it's officially spring, The first skunk was hit on the road. I'd like to claim an Argyle, but I think it was just across the line in Greenwich, Route 40.
We do what we can.
But it's, that's when spring happens. So regardless of what's going on out there, it is officially.
Regardless of the woodchuck, you go by the stump.
I don't like the woodchuck, we go with it, skunk.
Yep, I saw that. Is there anything else other? Okay.